League of Legends is a game that needs no introduction. A game that has somehow stayed relevant for years despite the huge competition from battle royales like Fortnite and Warzone, with a lot of its relevance being from the live streaming platform Twitch. League of Legends' popularity, especially in the esports scene, gave a platform to a certain League of Legends streamer who has amassed over 100,000 followers on various platforms, also having the fortunate opportunity of being an esports player, a job a lot of people would trip head over heels for to even get the opportunity to get a taste of it, although sadly this streamer would fall into a rabbit hole of degeneracy like a lot of other former content creators. Today we'll be talking about the rise of him, the accusations made against him, and his disappearance. This is the unfortunate tale of cookielolxx. League of Legends was created in 2009 and would slowly gain popularity, hitting its peak in 2020, hitting 150 million online players. cookielol started his esports career sometime in 2017, with his first tournament winning 16-2. Throughout his career in esports, he would leave or be dropped by multiple teams, but when competing proved himself on the battlefield, winning a handful of tournaments. Also around this time he started to switch and started to grow, leaving esports sometime in 2020. He made his YouTube channel on February 20th, 2020. He posted clips from his live stream, coaching videos, esports content, tips, and more.
I'm gonna Q now because it's close to the wall. So now I Q, I E, and I use everything and they all die, right? But it's very important when you play a champion that relies on abilities that you never waste your abilities. This is a problem with even challenger sports sometimes, or like grandmaster, masters, like really high rank players will do this mistake.
Cookie also met a fellow League of Legends streamer and YouTuber Ike Patako and would duo with him. Cookie started to grow on YouTube, reaching 6,000 plus subs on December 27th, 2021, which now 2 years later has grown to over 100,000 subscribers. A month before the expose, which I'll be talking about a little bit later in the video, Cookie would get into some minor drama. In this clip from the short that started all of this, he would say that Gosu has a bad mentality when it comes to the game and that he probably won't make it to champs if he keeps having this mentality.
I was watching Gosu's stream yesterday and my god, Gosu is so delusional and so washed up. Like I saw this guy play and he made major mistakes, and then this guy, he just blames his teammates, he blames the ADCs being weak, he has the entire loser's mindset, he blames the balance of the game, he blames his teammates, he blames his role being weak. It doesn't matter what elo you're playing in, whether you're silver or gold or bronze, as long as you have the winner's mindset, you will climb. For example, Gosu right now is hard stuck in D1. So if one of you guys are like hard stuck silver and you guys have the winner's mindset for like a year or two, and this guy continues to have the loser's mindset, you guys will outclimb him. I think Gosu is good mechanically, it's just a mindset thing.
Also through the short, he basically sells his online coaching class, saying that like you can rise faster and better than this pro player that has 1 million subscribers if you just have a better mentality and watch him. In the end, he would apologize from the backlash and basically he would move on. A month ago though, he did get exposed and lost over 8,000 subscribers on YouTube and 4,000 on Twitch. This expose started with a user named Revi that used to be one of Cookie's editors. This expose would mark the start of cookielol's decline and his disappearance. Before we get into the allegations, I want to give a shout out to Loden for inspiring me to make this video, and I also want to give a huge shout out to Rival for the clips I'm using in this video. I probably wouldn't have found him if it wasn't for his video. They'll both be linked below in the description. Sadly, being a YouTuber and being outed out as a pedophile now isn't really that uncommon. People like EDP445, Minilad, Kiwiz, and other people have been outed out many times and lost careers over it. Sadly, this expose made in cookielol's name would go on to show that cookielol did just this. The expose would start with screenshots showing that cookielol was discussing BDSM with a minor. For anyone that doesn't know what BDSM is, Google defines this as bondage, discipline, or anything of that nature that's really sexual. The minor at the time was 16 and fully disclosed this many times, but as we're going to get into, cookielol still persisted. Cookielol would go on to ask her to put on a collar and say, "You're a child, I love it, dude." Cookielol also talked about and about how he would love to pull in her pigtails, making us even though that like the woman that the minor was literally just talking about her hair and said literally nothing. Besides all this flirting, actually this only gets worse from here. Buckle in your seatbelts. cookielol then posted a picture talking about a toy and how he can control it with his phone. The 16-year-old at the time said that she loved attention from any men at any rate necessary. She said she regrets this in a statement issued against Cookie. "I stopped talking to Cookie in December of 2021 completely. I also left his community a bit after. I think since I found Cookie getting cringier and cringier over time. Now I don't have any excuse for my actions. I can only say that I'm deeply embarrassed of myself. I was lost, mentally fucked 16-year-old. I also told him this, as you can see in one of those screenshots thoughts of mine. I craved men's attention, so when Cookie talked to me in that specific way, I didn't think much of it, but looking back now, it truly sickens me and even gives me trauma just seeing him and me chat like that. But to say that he was an adult at the time and to think for him that it was a normal thing for him to speak like that to a minor is even more fucked up. I'm an adult now, and to even think what Cookie did back then, I could honestly never. I already get kind of uncomfortable when a minor makes jokes and I'm out, but Cookie didn't seem to mind it and just went at it. Now I've grown so much better as a person, and I wouldn't want this ever to happen to any minors out there, because you will look back and think, what the fuck was I doing or saying? The fact that there was more people out there who Cookie did dirty, mods / close friends, is fucked up. Like, this 16-year-old wouldn't be the only time Cookielol would talk to a minor. A statement issued by one of I Keep It Tacos mods reads, during my friendship with Cookie, I worked with him to create his brand that he currently still uses, and spent majority of my time being on call for him for social media advice and review commissioned pieces such as his logo and graphic designs, sometimes even in the very early hours of the morning, 5 to 6 a.m. At first, our friendship was amazing. He was someone that I could confide in, and he was somebody that I felt that I could trust. We watched K-dramas, and we talked about all of the dreams we had on Twitch and in our professional careers. But after a continued pattern of scamming his community and disregarding from his own mods, myself included, I choose to end the friendship with him and cut ties silently. As we get closer to 2020, he began to get more comfortable and less filtered around me. This involves his opinion of me and women in general as well. For context, prior to this, he found no issue in my body size or appearance. Once a number was attached, all of a sudden I am now fat, despite me telling him my issue with him calling me fat prior, which is a point he reiterated many times. He tried to chalk it up to cultural differences, Sweden versus US standards, but continued to ignore my discomfort with the approach to reflecting on it over the last few years. I realized that having my best friend call me fat and consistently make my weight a sore point via promising to make me a smaller size led me to fall into a relapse of a prior eating disorder I had almost a decade before. I've since then overcome it and have been blessed with a happy and healthy relationship where I have learned to love myself, but there was a certain level of pain and insecurity that stuck with me for the better part of the year and half after drifting from him. By the end of 2021, I was approached for advice towards his stream, social media, and personal relationship with his ex, as well as being a Twitch mod Discord admin. It was an experience that I hope to never have again. I went into this role to help create a good future for him and his channel and brand, and spent countless hours trying to help him to realize his dreams. By the end of my time, I was mistreated, not only by him but his community as a whole, who were following his lead. When we expressed these concerns to him, we were met with him saying, that's what a mod is for, no? And him trying to justify it all by saying that we should just be stricter on the community without him taking any responsibility. The time I spent in his community is now a bitter memory, and I have avoided most modding opportunities ever since. I've not talked to Cookie since June of 2021. Turning to my DMs with him, it made me realize how much I excused for the sake of it being my best friend at the time. The friendship that teetered on dependence was grossly out of place, considering I had a boyfriend at the time that he knew about who had actually tried to talk to him and befriend him. However, I will not put the entire fault on Cookie for the closeness of our friendship, as we had no discomfort in talking about mature life topics with each other. He was 20ish and I was about 23 at the time, and we grew naturally closer, even referring to each other as platonic soulmates at one point. I only mentioned this last aspect as a testament to the fact that he was comfortable pursuing relationships with others that teetered on romantic, despite stating to numerous people, most likely for them to feel special, that he didn't often talk to others in DMs or get close with others. I wish to put him and my experience with him behind me. I've given aspects of my time with him to prevent others from being hurt in the future. Another person on Discord would come forward and talk about Cookielolxx dark tendencies. This comes from a server called Trying to Balance, a Discord server where people discuss their mental health. Cookielol would join this server and start to prey on more minors. This person would go on to talk about how apparently he was talking to a 13-year-old and would suggest having many times. On top of being very he would also be a jerk to a person in the Shrine of Balance. He called that person a turbo, knowing fully well that the person she said had ADHD and was gay. This would lead him to finally getting banned from that Discord. Thank God. Also, I want to put this in the video. He has a Patreon where he sells coaching and his private Discord on it. But on top of it, for some reason, this guy sells 300 pictures full of prawn. Which, to be fair, he does say 18 plus and also has a bigger price tag on it. But I don't think it's really okay saying that most of League of Legends is kids. Like, I don't know. It feels weird, dude. cookielolxx has editors. This is a pretty normal thing for bigger creators to do that so they have more time to stream, come up with new video ideas, or do other activities outside of the internet. These editors will edit their streams for hours at a time, putting in tons of effort and making it to their full-time job, making around $50,000 a year on average according to Google. Rivi, one of many of cookielolxx's editors, obviously expected a good pay for editing cookielolxx's content, saying that he posts almost daily. Sadly, as you can see from these screenshots, that's not what transpired. Rivi would ask cookielolxx for months for pay, but cookielolxx said that it was annoying that he kept asking and even said it's pathetic that somebody would need money to pay for bills. Because of the lack of payment, Rivi would end up getting evicted from his apartment. There are even screenshots of cookielolxx putting deadlines for editors whilst not setting deadlines for payments, which is obviously extremely hypocritical. It gets even worse when cookielolxx is shown on stream to flex the stuff he's bought, including a very expensive Airbnb, knowing damn well that his editors are fighting tooth and nail to make ends meet and are watching his stream.
You know, the thing that is really sexy, in my opinion, is that it's an AC. Bro, there's an AC here. Like that's sexy as fuck. And you know, it's like a private road. Like this entire like place here, it's like a super rich area and like private, you know? Like only the richest people live here. So it's like, ooh. Very nice place, actually. I'll see if maybe I will stay here.
Sponsorships are very important for content creators for a means of revenue, especially for edgy content creators that get demonetized left and right and to still stay afloat financially. Sponsorships are a huge blessing to content creators, but as we're going to find out, cookielolxx would use these companies' sponsorships and try to scam them for more money. The first sponsorship we will be talking about is a game called Rise of Kingdoms, your run-of-the-mill mobile game. Cookielolxx had a deal set up with the sponsor that the more downloads of the game that he got, the more money he get from the company. Though instead of being honest with the company, cookielolxx decided to take to the DMs to someone and ask them to bot the website so that the sponsor thought that there would be more downloads than there actually were. Which I'm not gonna lie, it looks like a lot of greed coming from my man Cookie. The person that came forward with these scamming screenshots issued a statement as follows. Although I up until now have had no idea of the other disgusting actions of Cookie has taken towards other people, I had already begun to think that this is not an isolated incident. Neither will it be the last. I know he had delayed payments or had underpaid some of my friends, some of which were in need of money and sometimes still are. I'm fortunate enough to not have to need the money, but him delaying payments like that still makes me feel horrible. Therefore, I can only think about what that would make me feel like for someone that desperately needs the money. After finding out what he has done, I want to say that I am ashamed of myself for even considering working for that man. Last game of note is from a sponsorship with Manscaped, a brand that is pretty much all over YouTube at this point. If it's not Manscaped sponsoring a YouTube video, then it's probably like Raycon or something like that. The sponsorship deal this time was that for every 20 sales he got, he'd get $1,000. He would yet again reach out to someone to get them to buy or buy the Manscaped products and then would possibly go resell them, which I don't know if cookielolxx knows this, but reselling something that you bought from a website is highly illegal and is called profiteering. Subathons are a very profitable live streaming genre where streamers will be live for as long as people sub to their Twitch account. People like Ludwig have done these streams and ended up lasting sometimes up to like 30 days. Cookielolxx capitalized on these subathons, but instead of being real with his audience, he would turn to his dark tendencies yet again. Every time he would supposedly start a subathon, a while later he would just end it and go to Twitter saying that there was unforeseen circumstances so he had to stop the subathon, which I have to say, like, this is literally a complete lie. Like, how is it every time you try to start a subathon, something comes up? A lot of people that subbed to him for the subathon were mad because they basically subbed to him for nothing. cookielolxx didn't stop scamming. He also disrespected his mods on his Discord server. He called her fat and made fun of her while saying that they're soulmates, saying he doesn't say that to just anyone. cookielolxx's repeated insults made her develop an eating disorder, which I gotta say, how do you bully your Discord mods like that? Like, that's insane, bro. On top of that, he promised another mod a vacation to Korea, but to no one's surprise, he never took her. Also, Cookie would ask too much of his mods, leading to criticism and him leading to do an apology after apology on his Discord server, which, remember, he's not paying his editors, so I wouldn't be surprised about the mods also not getting paid. So keeping that in mind, him asking for too much and probably not paying the mods has to be like torture, bro. I Keep a Taco is a content creator similar to what cookielolxx does, but a lot more successful. cookielolxx would try to leech off of I Keep a Taco's success, doing duos with him. Though cookielolxx wouldn't just be happy with the followers he probably got from the live streams he did with I Keep a Taco, he would go into Taco's Discord server and try to move Taco's members over to his Discord server. When Cookie originally got exposed, Taco would call him, and I'll go ahead and show a couple clips from the call that they had together.
This is gonna be kind of an awkward talk, but it needs to be talked about how earlier in this year you were in a Discord server flirting with lots of girls, some of which are underage.
What server?
Shrine of Balance.
It was not underage.
They have a lot of screenshots and evidence. It says April 2020.
For April, I didn't flirt with underage. That was not my intention. It was never my intention to flirt with them. I just talked to them. I just talk to people. It's basically this like server for like, you know, like mental health threats, like you support people. But it was never my intention to flirt with them. Like I never actively flirt with them. Like I would never like say, you know, like sexy stuff or like anything like that. It wasn't my intention to make them feel uncomfortable. I just wanted to like talk to people.
cookielolxx wouldn't just harass and sexualize women in private, as we've talked about with the grooming allegations. A stream VOD that is still up on his Twitch would show him calling a woman sexy and hot despite the woman denouncing his advances.
Good girls.
We're being good.
You're being good?
Yeah, we're being nice, actually.
How are you guys when you're bad? When you're bad, you're like devil.
Even we're like when we are bad, we're not talking to you. Yeah.
Why? Oh, you don't talk to me?
Like looking.
You're like, oh, you look away.
Not even looking at you.
Oh, come on.
Is there anyone?
You ghost me. What the f?
What's wrong?
ADC.
Support.
Support? You support? Wait, what do you play?
Nami and Leona.
Nami, Leona? Jana. Oh my god, you're so sexy. Holy shit. What the f?
Last to know from the expose was cookielolxx admitting to SA. He would talk to a person in the DMs, and they would talk about their traumatic experience of being forced to do something that they don't want to do with their significant other. Instead of cookielolxx being empathetic, he would go on to say that he experienced the same thing, but he did it. I genuinely want to know what cookielolxx was thinking. He's talking to an SA victim and thinks that the best course of action is to say that he committed it before. Like, how brain dead is Cookie, bro? Anyways, Cookie would talk 2 more times in the Discord talking about SA with other victims, and would say exactly what he did, and would ask these SA victims what exactly the male did to them. And I know I sound like a broken record, but this person was also underage. The other time he would be in the DMs with someone and explain in full detail on how he SA'd his ex. Cookielolxx said that he put his partner in a cage and used her as a sex slave. Oh my god. When apparently he was 16, which is just... it's mind-blowing to me, because like at like 16 I was playing video games, bro. Like, what is this guy on? cookielolxx would put out a Twitter response on April 13th, try and stop all the backlash. It reads, "First, I want to preference all of this by saying that I was not a good person in my past. I let down people with payments as well as words and promises. I was creepy and overly sexual and inappropriate in inappropriate circumstances, and generally speaking, being a dick." These sexual screenshots were from June 2020, in which I had just turned 20, and although I should have been a mature adult at that point, I was not. I would like to start by apologizing to everyone I hurt, especially the girl referred to as, which by the way, that I'm pretty sure is referring to the 16-year-old girl that he groomed. I started talking to the 16-year-old girl in early 2020, around the same time where I quit professional play, started streaming, and I had around 200 to 300 viewers at the time. I was lonely, sad, as well as lost what I wanted to do and be. I started to watch I Keep a Taco, and he was my favorite streamer, and I really loved hanging out around in his community, as it made me feel happy. I met her in this community, and at first I thought nothing of it, but then we started talking and I found her interesting. Looking back, I feel disgusted and absolutely ashamed of myself for one, not making sure that she was really into me before making any sort of flirty or sexual acts, and two, not stopping after she mentioned that she was not above 18. Growing up in Sweden, I never thought that a 3-year age gap at the age was very weird, and the legal age of consent is 15. At the time, I had just turned 20 and she was about to turn 17, and I did not think that there was anything wrong with sexually flirting with her. Obviously, this is completely wrong and there's no excuse. On top of this, I was shit at reading the room, and it was never my intention to make her feel uncomfortable. I am disgusted looking back at this. I'm not trying to justify this behavior in the slightest, but I wanted to give some context on my thought process. Back then, and I am now aware that it is completely wrong, and I just feel disgusted when I look back at what I typed in to who. I'm sorry to the 16-year-old. I never meant to make you feel uncomfortable or hurt you in any way. There are words around about a 13-year-old. Story behind that is that I and my friend were in a public voice chat on a Discord server trying to balance. Back in the day where we were hanging out, and there were times when discussing what became sexual, but nothing I ever said was directly at anyone underage, let alone the age of 13. It's still extremely inappropriate to discuss sexual things in the presence of a minor. I deeply regret not handling that better. One of those screenshots I talked about how I raped a girl and that I will never make that mistake again. When I was 19, I had an older girlfriend that I loved very much. She was my first, and I was also a virgin back then. I had no experience whatsoever, and she also told me that she never felt good in any sexual thing before. I wanted to help her as much as I could, so I tried to figure out how to pleasure a girl by looking up tutorial videos on on how to finger while also being gentle. She had been through a traumatic moment in her life that made sex hard. We were together, we loved each other, and was staying over at her family's place. And we were just cuddling and watched movies. She moved my hand to her crotch, and I noticed that she was very wet. So I started to slowly, I'm gonna just move past that, sorry guys. After 5 to 10 seconds, I noticed that she was completely frozen up, and then after comforting her, I kept going since she hadn't told me to stop. Felt so terrible about it. In some countries, lack of consent isn't considered rape, but I consider this rape. There's no excuse for this. It was on me to make sure that it is consensual, and I failed to do so. I'm ashamed of that day. As the screenshot says, I would never make that mistake again. Nothing like that has happened after that, and it never will. Besides these circumstances, there have also been other times where I have been a creep to those above 18, and this was due to my lack of maturity and ability to read the room. I've also been extremely bad with payments during my career, and I mentioned this before, but there's really no excuse. I made promises that I couldn't keep due to lack of funds, and then bills kept on stacking up and made things harder and harder to pay in time. This is still something I'm trying to get better and better at, and I have made good progress, and it's something that I'll keep working on until there's absolutely no issues. This is all hard to say. I don't expect to be forgiven, and right now I will just take some time off social media. I'll continue focusing on growing as a person and making up for the shit person I was in the past. Sorry to everybody I hurt and made feel uncomfortable. He would also go on stream and also just apologize, which I'll play right now.
I never meant to hurt her. I loved her more than anything. But I didn't know anything better. I ended up hurting her. I hurt a lot of people. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna expose her identity or who she was. I'll just call her E for now. And if you're hearing this, if you're seeing this, I'm sorry. It was never my intention to hurt you. I love you so much. I loved you more than anyone.
So after this apology, cookielolxx literally only took a break for like a day, dude. He would go back to his Discord/Patreon and say that he'll only be posting on his Patreon for a while, but he doesn't know when exactly he'll return. But obviously I can't show this because it's locked behind a paywall, and I'm not trying to give cookielolxx any money. cookielolxx really screwed up. He did a lot of screwed up things and made a half-baked apology. Instead of taking a break, he went on his Patreon after one whole day. I think with some therapy or God, he can get better, but for now, this is the story of cookielolxx, a League of Legends streamer that out of greed, selfishness, and lust, ruined his entire career.